All right. Hello, everybody. I'm going to pause a few minutes and say some random words until more folks join on here. Actually, we'll take a look at the chat here, make sure people are joining in. But welcome to Reverb's Quarantine Kitchen. I'm your host, Adam Gardner. I play in the band Guster and also am co-founder of REVERB, an environmental nonprofit organization dedicated to protecting people and the planet. Normally, we're on tour with bands like Dave Matthews Band and Maroon 5 and Tame Impala and Billie Eilish and a bunch of others, but obviously there are no tours right now. So we thought we'd bring a little bit of reverb to you. This is a show featuring a lot of musicians and other folks of interest that are cooking live from their kitchens. Really happy with tonight's show. But before we get into it, I do want to acknowledge we paused last week to give, honor to what's happening out there in the world right now and give space to Black Lives Matter and other important organizations and within the movement. If you want to see what our position has been on this, we're taking it very seriously and taking a good hard look at ourselves as a mostly white organization and a mostly white movement, that's the environmental movement, and how we need to be better. And so if you're interested in seeing what we're doing and what we're going to continue to do, please check out reverb.org there. Also, our previous guest, Noelle Skaggs from Fits in the Tantrums, has been incredible online. So please check out her social media to just learn more about how we all can be better and honor what's going on right now and be an active part of making it better. So now on with the show. I am so pleased to introduce Andrew McMahon as our guest chef this week. I've known Andrew for a while. We toured together, Guster and his band Jack's Mannequin at the time, toured together in 2011. You may know him also from something corporate, and now he's going as Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. So I am so pleased to have him on. I know he's more nervous for this than he is for any show, and I totally understand that. Please welcome Andrew McMahon. Come in, Andrew. There he is.
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
You too. You're right. I am more nervous for this than most things. Who knew? Cooking.
Well, it's always an interesting ask, that's kind of one of my roles here too, is to reach out to the potential guest and be like, hey, would you do this? You're like, and almost every time everyone's like, I don't know, I'm not much of a chef. I'm like, great, you're perfect. That's what we're looking for, because the audience isn't that either. It's about, not being an expert, but just being an enthusiast.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had to do more cooking, obviously, these days than I'm used to. So when you hit me up, I was like, I think I just said yes right away, not knowing what the show was, because I was like, Dad, of course I'm going to say yes. And then you sent me the specifics, and I immediately was like, why did I say yes to this? And you might, and those of you watching might find out why after you taste this meal that we're going to cook together. But maybe
that's not true. That's not true. I know you said, you're like, yeah, I got this. This will be good. There are a few recipes you're looking at, and I appreciate that you picked a vegetarian-based recipe. Yeah. The idea here is that it is a sustainable recipe. We're an environmental nonprofit, so I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah. No,
but first, before we do that, we decided that since this is a fairly quick recipe, which is great because we've had some really tricky recipes. Tom Papa was on here a few episodes ago, and he did a whole sourdough recipe. That's like a multi-day recipe. So it'll be nice. This is a few minutes, but we're going to do something first in addition to this, aren't we?
Well, I'm a cocktail enthusiast, so I figured we could start cooking the only way I really know how to start, which is by making a little something in the cocktail bar. What do you think?
I'm into that. I'm gonna kind of shift gears and I'm gonna try to make this along with you. I am not a cocktail. I like drinking cocktails, but I don't know how to make anything. So
yes. Well, then this is an easy place to start. So this is basically like what they call a Tommy's Margarita, which is from what I gather, kind of like the precursor to the skinny margarita, because it usually uses like agave as the simple syrup instead of simple syrup itself. So just kick it off with, want to fill up your cocktail shaker with some ice here, and then you want two ounces of tequila. I like Reposado. You guys can use whatever you like.
What's 2 ounces in terms? I have a shot glass. So what's 2 ounces in terms of that? A shot?
Yeah, sure. Just do a couple of those. I mean,
I see what you're trying to do here, Andrew. I like it. I'm in.
the key is proportion. So what I'll say is whatever you do, as far as tequila goes, Adam, you want to do basically half of your other ingredients. So it's like if there's 2 pours of tequila, you want 1 of your simple syrup or agave, whatever you like, and then 1 of your lime juice, right? So it's basically like a 2-1-1 ratio. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So so I like to do, instead of simple syrup, I like to do agave or diluted agave. So we're going to put an ounce in, but usually what I use as an ounce of agave is like half an ounce of water, half an ounce of agave mixed together, just because it kind of dilutes it a little bit, so it's not too sweet. So then, yeah, you'll do an ounce of whatever your simple syrup is, or agave, whatever you like.
I'm using simple syrup. But...
Yeah, go for it. That's good stuff. And then an ounce of lime juice, which I know you just kind of got some limes over there. And,
yeah, I'll just cut a lime.
Yeah.
So you think it'll be about 1 lime?
I think it depends on the size of the limes, but I think probably 1 lime should probably be the equivalent of an ounce there. Yeah, why not? When you taste this and you want to, kill me, but I'll apologize then. But I think mine's going to be delicious. All right.
Okay.
Looking good. So you all in there?
I think I got. Is that it?
Yeah. Then just shake it.
I have a shaker, but I'll stir it.
Oh, I like that style.
When you were just shaking it, actually, I just had a flashback when we did a cover of Peter Bjorn and John's Young Folks, and you played shaking it.
One of the coolest covers of all time. I had so much fun singing that song.
It's just a great tune. You can't really miss.
No, it's amazing. Those guys are geniuses.
What?
Okay, and then yeah, I mean, you can either just dump the contents into your glass from there once you stirred it up, or I'll just strain it over ice, usually.
Okay.
And then you may or may not have like some seltzer around or something. You don't necessarily need it, but sometimes I'll top it off with like a little club soda, just to sparkle a little.
All right, I'm gonna run, and I'm gonna come back with seltzer. I'm still here.
I'm so curious. I'm looking at your drink and just really crossing my fingers that you're gonna just have to smile and pretend it tastes good.
You know what? I don't have seltzer right now because I have a soda stream thing, but I'll just drink it. Sounds. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching and following along. Let's see if there are any questions here. Let's hear. Brenna says, Dark Blue by Jackson Mannequin was my favorite song in elementary school. And my mom was blowing Andrew in the Wilderness was the same person. Yeah, I was going to ask about that a little bit. Like, was there any issue with you've had various incarnations of yourself. Have you had issues with people like connecting the dots?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably not my greatest tendency to want to keep changing my name every time I put out 5 years. It probably doesn't make my job easier, like having to continuously re-educate people on who I am and what I've been up to for the last couple of decades. But truthfully, I feel like, part of the reason why I shifted into doing a project with my own name in the title for once was just like, I play all those songs, like I play Jack's songs and I play some of the corporate songs in the set. Then it felt like, okay, well, if I'm going to do another project, make sure your name is in it at least so that we can kind of, have a sort of general coalescing around the idea that I've been, in bands writing songs for a long time. And yeah, it takes a minute usually, but this project I feel like is finally caught up and people seem to be figuring it out. Nice.
Well, I want to talk about that a little bit more, but let's get into your stir fry recipe.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Well, we're going to jam. We're ready to go?
Let's jam. And again, I might pepper you with questions if there's a natural break. Otherwise, I'll hit you. I know this is fairly quick. So
yeah, it should be pretty easy. Okay. So what you're going to do, of course, I've got my cheat sheet and it's like not even working for me. Okay.
and for those who are following along, the recipe is in the Facebook post here. And we'll also have this whole thing up on Reverb's website as well. So there's a blog post right now with the recipe on it, and we'll put this video there after it's done being live.
Okay, so you heat your wok up over medium heat, and then you're going to do just a tablespoon of canola oil in there. Now I know you guys, this is all about healthy eating, and I'm pretty sure canola oil is anything but. So I just apologize in advance, all right?
It's a tablespoon.
It's a tablespoon, we're good measure. So yeah, heat it up, get the oil around there. You want to get that going, you heat that up, and then.
Are we talking high heat? We're talking medium heat. What do we got here?
So you want to get it up to medium high heat once the oil's in there. Let it heat up a little bit. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in the broccoli. So there's about let's say a cup and a half of broccoli florets that you want to have. I got mine prepared right here. Usually it's like about 2 small heads of broccoli. Okay, so I feel like we're probably nice and warm. We're going to throw our broccoli in. And once you do that, you want to throw in just a tablespoon of water with that.
And what's that? That just kind of helps steam it? Is that the idea?
Yeah, exactly. So then you have it in there for about 2 minutes or so. Oh, listen to that. Woo-hoo! All right. So next you're going to want to have prepared your carrots, snow peas. So it's like about, I want to say it's like a cup and a half of snow peas and 3/4 cups of carrots. I julienned mine ahead of time because you would not want to see what my knife skills look like. It's not pretty.
When you say, can we take a closer look at what julienned means? I'm clueless. What is that? Is that between that and just kind of chopping?
Make them little matchsticks.
Ah.
Yeah.
You just taught me something.
I mean, that's shocking to me, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Okay, so now this is something I should have done a while ago, but you also want to be making up this little broth, the sauce that you're actually going to use in your stir fry sauce. So I got 3 tablespoons of soy sauce and 3 tablespoons of either chicken broth, or I use a no chicken vegetable stock. It's really good.
Nice. So that's keeping in the vegetarian dish there.
All right, I'm going to stir these guys once more. And then I'm going to add in our snow peas and our carrot, I think. Yeah, we're going to add in everything, actually. And we're also going to add in, I like baby corn, but you could use mushrooms. And I got some water chestnuts in there, too. Then stir these guys around. And piece of garlic, minced. Oh my God, I'm feeling the pressure, Adam. This is scary.
You're doing great. This is exciting.
Feels good.
It looks good. I don't have a wok. Now, for those who don't have a wok at home, I assume a skillet would work just as well or almost as well.
So, yeah. There's something with walls on it, I would think. And then you want a half a teaspoon of the ginger there. I'm going to stir this around. Get all that good stuff kind of marinating. And the next thing will be to finish the actual sauce that's going to go on top here in a second. So I've already added 3 tablespoons of the low-sodium soy sauce and 3 tablespoons of the veggie broth. Then you're going to want to put in, I think it's a half a teaspoon of cornstarch.
Okay.
There.
And the cornstarch is basically a thickener. Is that the idea with that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is actually the secret weapon of this recipe, in my opinion, because a lot of times if I'm going to do a stir fry, I'll just use like soy sauce and maybe some hot sauce as well. But for whatever reason, this actually ends up being really delicious. All right, so I'm just going to kind of stir this around a little bit more, make sure everything's getting cooked. So how have you guys been holding up? How's the Guster world surviving this madness?
We're doing all right. We were in the middle of a tour when this all went down, so that was abrupt.
Oh my gosh, how far along were you?
Almost halfway, and not quite, but it was glad. We were having a lot of fun. It was a unique tour for us. We were with acoustic with string players, but we were also traveling around with one of the heads of the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York, Connor, and it was like
guys with the symphony.
Yeah, that was super fun.
I was in tears. I didn't realize that was that tour. Oh my God, man! I wish I could have seen that.
That was amazing. Yeah, that was a highlight. this was really fun. It was intimate and it was a lot of improv and we were having a blast. So we obviously, for a lot of reasons, we were sad that it had to stop. But everyone stayed healthy and safe. So I'm thankful for that. How about you? How are you handling quarantine? Obviously you're cooking more.
Yeah, cooking more. I've been good. You know, it's like I've been doing like live stream free shows from the garage, which have been very soulful and made me very happy. And working on just writing a bunch. You know, I've actually been writing at the computer instead of the piano a little bit, which has been kind of a cool change of pace for me. And you know, just trying to see what's next, but also trying to be patient and know that it's out of my control largely. You know. All right, I'm going to add this this delicious broth here, whatever you call it, and you just mix it up. I mean, truthfully, once it's in there, it doesn't take long. Oh, I have like a little sneaky thing. I do have some. Hold on one second. Sorry, pardon me. I'm trying to cook rice behind you here.
That suspiciously sounds like a microwave, Andrew.
It might be a microwave. It's possible this is a microwave. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't know why it doesn't work. There we go. So
well, turns out microwaving is actually an environmentally friendly way to cook.
Well, I do want to let you know that the rice that I'm microwaving right now is organic. Okay.
There you go.
And it's 90-second rice, and I live by it. Okay, so truthfully, at this point, you should be good to go. I sort of slept on the rice situation, so I'm going to turn off the heat because this is probably all cooked through and good. And you guys can do the same if you are in fact following along. And if you have your rice ready, unlike me, who is supposed to be responsible and leading this operation, you can set some down. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we're surviving. I mean, I've been hanging out with my daughter and my wife, which has been nice. I think that's the one big win out of this whole thing, I would say.
I think especially for touring musicians, it's nice to spend time at home.
Yeah.
It's obviously not great to not tour for ourselves and for our employees.
Right.
But if there's a silver lining in it, it is nice to spend time with family for those who have, so that's really nice. All right, so this is an opportunity for me to pepper you with a few more questions, it seems. So I'm going to jump in. We were talking about some cover songs. You recently covered a Casey Musgraves song, which I just checked that out. It's beautiful. I mean, I was very familiar with her song, but it was cool to check out your cover. What kind of led you to that?
I mean, truthfully, it was like one of these things where I think Amazon or one of the services was like, we're looking for it was like, we're looking for covers and we'll pay your production budget to do it. And I was like, shit, that sounds awesome. An excuse to get in the studio with none other than Butch Walker, who's like one of my homies for life, and we had just finished a record and, and I was kind of brainstorming what to do. And my wife, my daughter had been jamming the Casey Musgraves record, and I've been slowly kind of popping my head around corners and being like, what is that? And I fell in love with that Golden Hour album. I just thought it was incredible. So originally I was going to do High Horse, and I got to the studio that day and then actually attempted to sing High Horse, which is, if you're familiar with that song, there's some vocals involved. That's not really something I fancy myself as being good at. So, but Slow Burn was the other one that I like on that record that really caught me right at the beginning when I started getting into it. And yeah, Butch and I, we cut it in like a day. It was like the most fun little let's make this sort of stony, weird version of a song that already is in its own way, kind of stony and weird.
Totally. I mean, Casey Musgraves is definitely likes the weed. Likes the weed. Yeah. Reverb actually got a chance to work with her a bit on tour too, which was wonderful. And I don't know if you know Daniel Tashin, but he's the one that produced that record. He had a band called the Bees. I don't know if you know that.
No, I'm not familiar.
If you like the way Casey's record sounds, I mean, he produced it.
Which I do, yeah.
He really brought a lot of there's a lot of similar sonic landscape stuff from the Bees, his own band, that he brought to the table there. So I would highly recommend that.
Nashville Cat?
He's a Nashville guy. Yeah.
There are a lot of
You just to make sure we're including everybody. Butch Walker, you for those who are following along might remember him from the Marvelous 3 in the 90s if you're as old as I am. But he's also produced like a bazillion incredible artists, including you, Andrew.
He's such a shape-shifting kind of dude. He can do just about anything. Like the whole record. So the record that we did before. Sorry, now this is the gourmet part of the event. Here is when I pour on a little bag of rice onto my dish. There you go, everybody.
It looks awesome.
I might have a bite of this, even though I might have also just had lunch. But
come on, let's get a nice. Do you have a nice let's actually get a nice close up of.
Okay, hold on. But no, if we're gonna do that, I'm gonna do an even better plating of it so you can see the veggies on top. It's like, this is all about the show, right? I mean, this is a show. Get real. All right, so I'm gonna put my bed of rice that I slow cooked for hours earlier in the day. We'll get a little of the veg on here. All right. My daughter finished kindergarten today, hence these decorations. I don't know if you can see the.
Yeah, it's amazing. They look incredible. Are those lights or are they pom-poms? It's hard to tell.
They're pom-poms, it would appear. All right, here you go. Hold on.
The big reveal. That looks awesome. That looks great. Thanks, Andrew. That's amazing. I hope I'm reading in the comments. Some folks have already tried this. They kind of.
What did they think?
They liked it. They thought it was great. Someone accidentally tripled the garlic on it, but they said it was still great.
I actually don't mind adding more garlic to anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Done.
I'm happy.
What I love about this dish, and for folks who do have kids at home, I empathize, first of all.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword right now, right? It's amazing we get to spend more time with our families, but for those of us that are still working from home, it's very tricky to balance that. And you still have to put dinner on the table at the end of the day. So to have a quick recipe like the veggie stir fry you just did is perfect. So I really appreciate that you're showing us how to make this dish. It's perfect.
Quick food's good, and it's actually surprisingly tasty. So I'm glad to introduce your fine community of good doing people out there too.
You crushed it. There's nothing to be nervous about. No, you crushed it.
I'm gonna move into another part of the kitchen and eat with you. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
You didn't get a chance to sip too much of your margarita, so I'm gonna let you enjoy that too. And we're not done yet. I'm not gonna let you go.
No, I'm ready. Okay.
I've got a bunch of questions for you. It's funny because we know each other, but there's some things that I don't fully know that we didn't get a chance to fully catch up on.
Do it.
So first of all, I don't understand the Tommy Lee connection. How did that happen? What's interesting to me is that you because I assume, and I don't know, there's a question, you've really kind of genre hopped a bit, and not in a bad way. In the best of ways, you got a foot over here, you got a foot over there. You were on the Warped Tour when you were first starting out. You're touring with Gavin DeGraw and OAR. It's all over the place in a way, and then also Tommy Lee's involved. So, that's the biggest for me.
The Tommy Connect. I mean, it will seem much less exciting once you hear that we at one point we shared a manager, and so I guess it was probably around the time that we had put out the second Something Corporate record, which the first record had this very Southern California we had fallen in with Drive Through and the punk bands, and I didn't necessarily think it sounded a lot like those bands, but it ended up sort of being shaped, I think, in a weird way into that scene. And the second record was much more of this very ethereal, almost like inspired by the early Coldplay records and stuff like that. And Tommy had fallen in love with this song off the second Something Corporate record called "Me and the Moon," and I randomly, literally out of clear blue sky, get a phone call one day, and it's like, "Hey Andrew, it's Tommy Lee," and I mean, I almost hung up, but I knew that we had this sort of this connection through my manager. So I was like, well, maybe there's something to this. So I was like, hello, and he was gushing about this one Something Corporate tune that he loved, and then immediately sort of followed, talking about the song with I'm working on a record and I'd love for you to come up to the studio because there's a song that I kind of started writing that I'd love to write with you. I was like, sure, I mean, I grew up on Motley Crue. I was like,
yeah, of course. You don't say no to Tommy Lee.
Yeah, And so I like I was in the studio, I shut the studio down, and I like went up to like Nichols Canyon with like him and his producer, and he had actually written this like really heartfelt, beautiful section of music about a friend who I think his daughter had passed away. It was like it was a sad story, and so I hung out for the night there, and then I went home and I finished writing it, and then we spent like a summer kind of like, I guess it was probably like a winter, spring, kind of hanging out in each other's orbits, where I would go up to his studio and write and work on his record. And eventually I got the nerve up to be like, hey, Tommy, like I'm working on a new project. You know, do you think maybe you would be cool to like play some drums on it? And, and he got all the drums for the first Jack's Mannequin record in a night at his studio in Nichols Canyon.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then he's just, you know, he actually went on to, he narrated my documentary when I got sick, and he was the voice of the documentary. And like, I still, anytime I run into him, you know, which is like usually like once a year at a music festival somewhere, it's always like just big hugs. He is a really sweet, big kid, music lover, awesome dude.
Amazing. So you're making a reference to I do want to talk about Dear Jack, but before we get there, I want to just mention while we still have some time here in the show, something new with the Quarantine Kitchen. For those who've been kind of following these episodes, this is episode 7. We have a new partner, Cliff Bar, and they're a natural partner. They're actually one of our Reverb's first partners when we were first starting out as an organization, and they're a natural fit because they support sustainability and they've always been big supporters of people on the planet. But for this show, they're partnering with us to help feed the hungry, which is incredible. And they've already donated 7 million Cliff Bars to since March, since this whole COVID thing kicked in, towards the health workers who are helping folks that have the disease. And a weird fact that I just learned is that they're the largest private funder of organic research in the U.S. And they're one of the large like bar companies. I think they're the only ones that have organic ingredients. So it's a perfect fit for them, and they're feeding the hungry, and this is a food show, so it all makes sense. And as part of, they're about to announce that you're actually tonight we're kicking off a second half of donations from Cliff Bar with a focus on feeding kids and families this summer who are in need, because so many kids especially now, are getting hit. Hunger is a bigger issue than ever during these times. And so as part of the show, Cliff Bar is giving 1,000 Cliff Bars to the guest chef's organization of choice. You chose Family Assistance Ministries in San Clemente. Yeah. Can you just talk a little bit about like why them?
Well, I've grown up out here. I moved around a ton as a kid, but Southern California, South Orange County has been my home. And when we heard that Cliff was willing to do this, we really sort of dug around and tried to find some place that was doing really good work close to home. We have, as a lot of people who live in California know, we have an exploding homeless population, which I can only imagine under the circumstances with COVID, that's growing even more. And so many food banks, when we need them the most, have actually closed during COVID. And we found this one that was still out there and charging and doing great work on behalf of people in need. And so we thought, what a great place to sort of direct this amazing donation from Cliff Bar.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing that, and thanks to Family Assistance Ministries, and of course, thanks to Cliff Bar for.
Thank you guys.
So now let's talk about Dear Jack. Because I obviously this is live on your Facebook page too. But for those who aren't familiar with every aspect of your life, talk a little bit about what the Dear Jack Foundation is and why it is, and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, well, I'm a cancer survivor, so this summer will be 15 years in remission from a leukemia diagnosis.
Cheers to that. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So the reality is, along the way, I had these amazing fans who were doing all these homespun charity projects around my illness. When I was sick, sort of the way that they had channeled their energy and their fandom was they supported causes that we sort of deemed in lieu of flowers, just try and raise some money for a good cause. And as I emerged healthy and well, I was able to sort of say, like, okay, well, where do I really want to see these dollars go? Like what is a way that I can actually give back to people like myself who end up in this situation, and realize that there was this massive underfunded demographic of cancer patients, which are 15 to 39 years of age. So, I mean, that's us, you know what I mean? That's our fans. That's graduating from high school and college and getting your first job and getting married and having kids, all in this moment of life where if you get cancer, you are the least represented by cancer charities and the least understood by the cancer community. So we've sort of expanded our efforts year after year after year. About 5 years ago, I brought on a staff. Finally, it was all volunteer run, which was great. But you realize at some point, if you really want to scale and amplify your mission and build programs of your own, as I'm sure you know, you need good people working full time. So I started one at a time. I started with an executive director, and now we have a staff of four amazing women based out of Denver. And we build programs. We do like a wish granting program called Life List for young adults who are in treatment, where we help fulfill just wishes and things that they've been looking to accomplish while they're in treatment to make brighter days on the horizon of each of these the treatments that they're going through. And then we also have an amazing program called Breathe Now, where we host young couples in a retreat setting. We have a social worker, chef, yogi. We do breathwork, meditation, and try and basically get a couple who've gone through cancer back on track as they re-enter the world as survivors. Because advocates are just so underrepresented in the cancer space. There's so few people are paying attention to the fact that the people who take care of us when we're sick really effectively are getting sick with us, but they don't have the same resources or the same person kind of putting their arm around them and saying, "Are you okay?" And so that's something that we try and do at Teardrop as well.
That's amazing. Well, who better than you, who's personally experienced it, and then of course using your position within music and your platform as a musician to amplify that. I applaud you, and I
say the same to you, my friend.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thanks for doing all that. It's incredible, Andrew. Well, I think that's it. I think we did this. This happened. We made it happen.
We did.
You crushed it. Thanks for doing this. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, this is REVERB's Quarantine Kitchen. Andrew McMahon in the wilderness. Thanks to Cliff Bar. Thanks to all the good work that's happening. Honestly, Family Assistance Ministries. Thanks to all of you who are following along. If you are just tuning in for the first time to Quarantine Kitchen, all the episodes is episode 7. There's a bunch of other recipes and episodes all listed. If you just go to reverb.org/quarantine kitchen, it's right there. It's also right here on our Facebook page. So please check it out, plug in. Next week, we will be having Brad Corrigan from Dispatch joining us.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a really neat way to, for me, selfishly, I get to connect with old friends in the music space, and I get to learn recipes because I too am also cooking more as we're all at home. So yeah, hopefully this is working. Hopefully it's a win-win for everybody involved, including everybody following along right now. But thanks, Andrew, so much for participating in all of this, and I hope we can continue to stay in touch, and hopefully we'll actually see each other in person soon.
Let's go do a show together. That'd be fun.
It would be really nice. Can't wait for live music to kick back in.
Soon enough.
I hope so. Thanks again, Andrew. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, man. Good to see you guys. Take care. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.